All right, we're live. Hey guys, welcome to The Trade, episode 46. My name's Melanie. I am your main host tonight. With me, returning guest, fellow comics creator and general nerd, Patrick McEwen of Devil and Mr. Gandhi and Ink Bottle Press. Welcome.
Hi, Melanie. Good to be back.
Hi. Yeah, so we've got a couple of news articles we'd like to just go over first here real quick, and then we'll get on to the meat of the podcast here. But at first, of course, my name is Melanie. I do make an on-again, off-again webcomic called Ornamental at ornamentalcomics.com. And Pat, you have your main comic strip is devilandgandhi.com, correct?
The exact title of the comic is The Devil and Mr. Gandhi, but the web address, you are correct, is devilandgandhi.com.
You couldn't fit the Mr. in there?
No. Too much money. It was extra money. So.
Wow, really? For 2 letters! Man! Damn you! Okay. But anyways... All right. Well, first, a little bit of a moment of silence. We've had one of our fellow creators in this world pass. Name was Steve Dillon. He is best known for his creation work in, like on Punisher. He was the main artist on Preacher as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he has a huge amount of accolades he worked on throughout the industry, but he has recently passed. They didn't specify from what, and that's okay. They don't need to, you know. But I just want to say to his spirit and his family, thank you for all of you've given us.
I said in a tweet earlier today that I think the team of Garth Ennis, Steve Dillon, and Glenn Fabry, who would do the beautifully painted covers of Preacher, and also when Garth Ennis and Steve Dillon did their run on Hellblazer, Fabry did the painted covers on those as well. I thought they are one of the most memorable team creators that I can think of, and it wasn't that it's the best writer, best artist, best cover artist, but they just gelled as a team, and I love their run on Preacher and on Hellblazer. So yeah, he will definitely be missed. Definitely.
Yeah, they're some of the most memorable for me, especially from the 90s. You know, in the 90s, I was in high school, and yeah, that was some of the most shocking stuff I saw at the comic shop, and it always made an impression in my brain, and I still remember it to this day. You know,
I collected Preacher in part. I grew up a altar boy, Catholic, acolyte as a child. So in a way, Preacher just had this great shock value to me, and having all the curse words and crazy situations, and his art it spoke to me. I mean, I liked it better than a lot of other artists at the time. So.
It was definitely memorable, you know. It really, really just stuck out. It was very clear, very distinct, easy to read, you know.
Well, and that was when, I mean, if you look at all the Vertigo titles, that was like the best in my mind. Like, you want to talk about the better comics of the 90s, you know, Vertigo was where it was at. I think because they had more freedom to go to the dark side than the mainstream DC titles.
It's true. It is very true. They were giving definitely more leeway to do so. All right. Now let's go ahead and move on. We were talking earlier before the podcast started. There is a new comics laureate named Charlie Adlard. He is best known for his artwork on The Walking Dead. And he's been named a comics laureate over in the UK. And he talks about his dislike in this article in The Guardian. And guys, I'll put links down in the doobly-doo like usual, so that way you guys can read the articles as well. But he declares war on the term graphic novel. And yeah, I think this is silly, number one. The reason why we have any type of heavy terminology, no matter what industry really, is to help us give better definition of what things are. I mean, that's why we give things titles, names. And graphic novel, generally, at least within the realm of comics creators and other readers and just general fans I know of, just means more of a consistent, long-form, well-published story, you know, large book story. And for some reason, he believes that this term means it's for grown-ups only, when I never saw that as a grown-up term.
Well, and I wonder if perhaps there is a little bit of culture difference too, because from the Brit standpoint, because I feel like Americans have gotten over the, like, Charles Schultz's Snoopies are comics and graphic novels are, you know, Batman the Killing Joke. Like, I feel like we've gotten past that. So perhaps there is a lingering, I don't know, maybe Brit type of something that we may already take for granted, that comics are for everybody, graphic novels is more of a description of, you know, the length of the work, or something along those lines. So I don't know.
Very true. You know, we'll have to bump up some different friends from across the pond and see what people say. You know, maybe we'll do an update a little later on this, just to see what, maybe get some different points of view. But well, at least from his point of view, what he's going to do with his laureate position, it's not just a title over the UK, it actually has some responsibility with it. And he wants to bring comics into being more of a learning tool for literacy, for education, inspiration, you know, to bring it in, which is fantastic. But the one downside in this article is he hates the term graphic novel. He believes that people always associate comics are for kids, so when using the term graphic novel, it means it's only for grown-ups or adults. So that might be, again, one of those cultural understandings of terminology.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's tough because you have, like, I worked in retail bookstores for many years. So part of it for me is what you read on the, you know, what does, on the back of this Strangers in Paradise book, not to foreshadow anything we'll talk about on today's podcast, but
oh no, nothing
on
like
the
that.
back, I don't know if you can see this, but it says art/cartooning, and this is what you would read, and this is how you would shelve it on the shelves of the bookstore. So I mean, when we say graphic novel, part of that might be just like, okay, where do you shelve it in a bookstore? Do you put it with, and that is something that could be addressed years from now too, is does something like Alan Moore's From Hell, should that be with should all comics be grouped together, or should From Hell be put in the horror section?
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, any bookstore I've ever been into, regardless of if it was a graphic novel, manga, or anything, are usually grouped all together in one section.
Yes.
Always. And it didn't matter if it was import or not. They were all lumped in with their own section. And that was fine by me, because then you knew where they all were and you didn't have to go hunting through all the novels. As much as I do love novels. Yes, I have my own novel collection. But, you know, I think there's definitely a distinction there to be made, just depending upon the point of view you want to take, of course. And it could also, like you said, to be a cultural understanding of the term. You know, there's always nuances to any argument. But I thought it was kind of interesting that that in the UK they still consider comics more for children.
Yeah. I don't know. Earlier in when we were kind of discussing before we went live, I brought up the Amulet series, and I apologize for not having the creator's name at my disposal at the moment, but they are published by Scholastic, I think, and they might even be the graphics imprint of Scholastic, I feel like.
Yeah,
And
I do believe so.
they are published in like 100 to 200 page books. And I think they do have a beginning, a middle, and end. They have a story arc to it over that 100 to 200 page book. They're not published individually as issues. They're not published monthlies. They're not distributed primarily through Diamond. They are published by Scholastic to put in bookstores as 140 page books. And to me, that's a graphic novel, and it's for kids too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I think it's a combination there of just of what we've talked about here. It's probably just, maybe some slight misunderstandings here and there that have just grown. I mean, nobody gave a hard definition to them to start.
Right. Well, and things get complicated when you start saying it's sequential art.
Yeah.
I mean, some people have a problem with cartoon versus comics. But even though I make comics, I also call myself a cartoonist, oddly enough. And I do single panel cartoons, but I also refer to myself as a cartoonist, even though the bulk of what I do is making sequential art, i.e. comics.
Yeah.
So we've got cartoon, we've got comics, we've got sequential art, we've got graphic novels. But maybe we should just come up with better ways of talking about these terms and not just try to throw them out. I mean, I don't think Charlie, does he want to throw out the term? Does he want to stop using them altogether? Do you know from your reading of that article?
Or coming up with a new term altogether.
Something brand new.
Yeah. I mean, at least from the article here, it doesn't really specify. He just, okay. If there's one phrase I loathe, this is a direct quote, guys, it's the graphic novel. It is somebody sticking a label on something and saying that they can't call it comics as that's for children. It is labeled something, this is for mature people. Giving it another title to make it for grown-ups. But comics are literally for everyone, and there should be no labeling.
Comics are for everyone. It kind of reminds me, too, if you've ever seen used online or just self-referentially, people will spell comics with an X on the end as a way to distinguish, like, this is indie. This is kind of independently produced, perhaps more adult, alt culture type of graphic art / comics. So we use comics with an X on the end. So I mean, people have gotten around and kind of like hacked some of these terms, I think, already. So maybe we are due for something new and innovative and something that, I mean, I like the big tent idea that he seems to be getting at, which is everybody's invited. Yes. Comics are for everyone. I totally agree with that.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%.
I think graphic novel can be used appropriately and accurately in some cases.
I think it should be fully defined as a long-form published story, just so that way we have a full definition for it. And then that way, you can help settle some of those arguments. And then if you want to start getting into the idea of, for instance, age levels in comics, because there are some more mature ones, there are all sorts of words we could use. Let's see, what's another word for mature?
I wouldn't know.
But you know what I mean. We've got a full dictionary. We've got the great thesaurus. We could sit down and come up with a term or even a new term. Maybe a mashup thereof. that we could all agree on in a general census, to say, okay, this means mature comics. Just so then there is that label for people if they need a definition, especially, for instance, in the retail market and things like that. Because, the term is used in more than one place and more than one time for more than one reason. He's using it more as a overall branching terminology. We've both mentioned age appropriateness of retail necessity, things like this. So terminology is going to vary because, yay, English language is a mishmash, completely contextual clusterfuck. So it's grand like that.
Yay.
Yay. All right. Let's see. What was the last story we wanted to talk about? Oh, yes. Terry Moore has announced that there will be some more Strangers in Paradise returning in 2018. My fangirl heart.
Paradise.
My fangirl heart. Yes. Patrick, we
Do you
mentioned.
like Strangers in Paradise, Melanie? Do you like?
Oh no, not at all. No. I don't have posters all over the other walls you can't see right now. God, I have the full graphic novel series in both hard form, floppy form, both of which I've literally read 2 pieces, and then I got myself a digital bundle so that way I would stop molesting the hard copies.
Here's a spread. I don't even know what's going on here.
I do.
There it is.
I do. That is when the private detective was cornered for doing a really shitty job in the storyline. And got his ass beat. So that's the ass beating scene. Yes, and I think it is a beautiful scene.
Now, can I throw a curveball at you?
Of course.
Terry Moore, in collections of art, can be seen depicting his women, I suppose primarily the protagonists, as very voluptuous, right? Very playful. I would definitely say sensual, sexual. What's the difference between, I mean, there's been a lot of controversy in the past year of artists like Frank Cho, who have gotten essentially in trouble for drawing sexy ladies in sexy poses. Now, they do tend to be larger corporate-owned characters like Wonder Woman, let's say, or Catwoman or something like that. But would Terry Moore get into the same kind of trouble? I mean,
I don't think so, because mainly he's generally approached the terminology of women through his comics, and Strangers in Paradise was his biggest first run. He has several more series out now, Echo, and oh gosh, there's a couple others, and their main protagonists are ladies, but they're portrayed from different points of view. Abuse, neglect. They're portrayed as full people. And he portrays them both as good and bad. The evil, voluptuous villainess versus the skinny, poor kid dying of starvation on the streets. I mean, he's done a range. And I think that's why part of the reason why he can technically get away with it is because he isn't disrespecting women. And he's doing it with his own creator-owned characters.
right.
That's the other thing. He owns the copyright on them. They are his. So if he wants to show them as sexy, he can. If he wants to show them as beat up, because maybe in the story they get beat up, he will. And I'm not against anybody, even Frank Cho, for doing that. He has drawn great women. He has a female in several of his stories that he's written that is creator-owned, that are always usually very sexy, very voluptuous. And then he's also gone on to do work for somebody else on their own characters with sexy ladies. And I have never had a problem with it myself. I don't see a point in getting angry at an artist for creating anything sexy, male or female. The only time I've ever had a problem with it was rape scenes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only time. And I think it was just the fact that it might have been more of the writer than the artist and their point of view approaching things. And, you know, so it really wasn't the artist's fault. I gave the writer more shit for that. And, yeah, you know, it also goes along the lines of writers doing what you call the women in the refrigerator storylines. Have you ever heard of that terminology?
No.
Okay. Little facts here, and let me Google it up so that way I've got links to give to everybody real fast. It was a term coined, oh man, some years back now. But basically it was a cheap throwaway line. To give a male protagonist, usually, a focal point of drama, and a lot of the Marvel and DC both are very well known for this. Here we go. Here's the wiki article I can send out real fast. But it was a real cheap drama point is what it started becoming. And using a woman more or less as just a prop, not as a person in the story. And to give the story more drama, the hero would find her kidnapped or even dead. Writer Gail Simone, there it is. She coined this in some online discussions back in '99. I didn't realize it was that far back. About using women instead of having them as real fleshed out characters, for them to be there just for like basically a issue or two, and then all of a sudden be killed off, and that gives the male protagonist just so much angst it drives him on.
Right.
And yeah, that's really disrespectful when this is constantly being used.
No, and you know, it's kind of like if you were to criticize a writer or an artist to say, look, you are objectifying this woman as like a sex object. She's the, you know, the fantasy, what the man wants to obtain. And I could see some writers, and again, some not very intelligent writers, saying, oh no, but see what happened was I killed this woman to make it so that this male character is like, but you're still objectifying the woman, not as the sexual desire object, but as what you're describing, the plot pivot point, cause for, you know, heroic action on the part of the male, which is just as objectifying as the sex desire object.
Yeah. See, they don't get to be people in the story.
Exactly.
They're just some cheap gravitas for the main character to then go on. You could have done at least 10 issues, developed a little bit of a relationship with them. You know what? If you want to go ahead and kill her off, that's okay, you know, because that is your story. But then you've developed her as something of a character, so that way there's some emotional attachment to her for the audience. So when her death actually happens, it actually has meaning. And then it's not a cheap throwaway.
We, you know, we all in life, we just want a meaningful death. That's all. That's what I want.
That would be nice.
I feel like this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this has transferred in the past couple years to like when TV shows try to incorporate like a trans character, and like they'll bring them on and then kill them off. And I don't know if it's meant to be a plot generating point or not, or if it's some kind of weird like, oh, we're being inclusive by putting in you know, this type of character, but then they kill them off. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, why was that person even a character in the series? Was the whole point just to be like, here they are, and then, okay, let's kill them and take them off stage, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's a cheap tactic. It can be employed by anybody in any type of writing sense, for a show, for a comic, for anything like that, any type of general entertainment purpose. I think it's harder to develop a character. And I would prefer to see the development, because then as an audience member, I grow a certain amount of attachment to that person. So later on, if you do need to kill off that character, it has more gravitas. It has some meaning to the story, to the other characters. It can develop their characters and give them more rounding. You know, I mean, it's
the since I spent 4 years in English graduate school, I would feel remorse if I did not bring up the characters of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern from Hamlet, and you know, the play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, you know, mimic this line. It's like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are there in Hamlet to like, oh, these are Hamlet's friends, and they're gonna take him away, and they're, you know, send him back to school, and everything will be fine again. And then, sire, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. You know, they have to be killed off because they weren't even meaningful characters to begin with. And then the play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead kind of takes it to new kind of absurdist heights in terms of like, you know, them in a weird type of limbo in between the scenes of Hamlet, which is pretty interesting. And so it goes to show you that even Shakespeare can be lazy in his character development.
Yes. I mean, it definitely happens. But to have a character there solely to kill them off is just proven that it is a cheap ploy. It can be a necessary ploy at times, but again, if you're wanting to actually have this character development and this twist on your main character or characters really honestly being affected, then you should develop that sub-character, even if it's the girlfriend, the mother, you know, oh my god, my mother, Martha, she died, you know.
Well, I think from a creative standpoint, if you take more time developing even minor characters, it leaves doors open. They can recede. They don't have to die. They can just recede from that storyline. But maybe that gives them an opportunity to come back at another time and have some meaningful participation. So I feel like the more time you spend on building even your ancillary characters, if they're well-developed characters, they're going to serve you better. If you make a character just to kill them off, it's a cheap tactic, as you say, and guess what? It shows. The cheapness shows. It's like building a styrofoam brick wall for someone to crash through. Everyone sees that it's styrofoam. It looks bad. It's poor production value, and it can never be used again because it all has to be thrown out. Whereas if you take your time building even minor characters, they could serve you better in the long run as a creator.
And heck, depending upon the story you got, you can even have them come back as an angelic messenger, as somebody from the grave, if they need to bring you a dire message, prophecy, something, you know. There's more than one way to reuse a dead character.
That's right. As seen by Hellboy in Hell. It's like, I remember when that came out, they were like, no, Hellboy he will die. He will not be on Earth anymore. It's like, the comics aren't going to end right away, but he literally will be in hell. He will not be on Earth. He will be in hell, which I thought that was quite a fascinating development of that series.
I think they did fantastic with it. Hellboy. I think I need to go do some rereading here pretty soon. Yes, I have a stack. I don't know if anybody else does, but I always have a stack of rereads as well. Transmetropolitan is one of my yearly rereads, along with Hellboy and Strangers in Paradise. They're close and near and dear to this nerd girl's heart.
Can I bring up another comic announcement?
Of course.
So Cullen Bunn recently finished off his 6th Gun series after a long run, and he just announced that he'll be going back and they're going to be restarting up his series that he did years ago called Damned, which is kind of a very cool noir / devil demonic underworld comic. I think there were like 2 miniseries of it, and he's actually going to be going back and starting that back up again. So that's pretty cool.
Very cool. That is awesome. I haven't read it or I haven't heard of it, so okay, new one to add to the list.
Yeah, Damned is one of my go-to rereads. That's why it made me think of it, and the fact that it's coming back with new issues has me very excited.
You get a nerd as well.
So now I'll reread everything in anticipation of the new issues.
Yay! New comics. Yes.
Yay!
Do happy. All right. Now, let's go ahead and go to the main heart of this podcast here, this little round episode where we're going to talk about the holidays. Holiday prep, things that, yes, it is upon us. Halloween is about a week away as of us recording this. And so you guys will get this right after Halloween. My favorite holiday of the year. And, you know, there are many comics creators that really depends upon your strip itself or long format, short format, etc. How the holidays affect you and affect your comics. Some people don't even acknowledge it in their comics at all. Some people just, you know, keep doing, you know, oh, it's just a normal day. You know, they don't even bother to acknowledge the holidays. Some go all out and actually have holiday themed strips. And myself, Ornamental is a more Christmassy themed strip to begin with. I had to put it on hiatus for about a year now just because I had financing. I lost my job about a year ago and I've gotten a new one, had to get into the routine of the new one. So because of that, that was such a large upheaval, I had to put my comics on hold. I am relaunching as of December 1st. So, yay! That's my holiday prep this year is, oh dear, getting back on that ball.
Well, we will all be waiting for that.
Yay!
So the pressure's on now. Get to work.
Oh my God!
On that horse.
No! No pressure! No, I don't want it. No. Okay, I'm there. Okay.
Well, since you mentioned that, it reminded me that I actually did, and it's not in either of my first 2 printed comics, which means I just gained another couple pages for my 3rd issue because I have a Halloween, I think it's a 2-page, maybe like 12 or 14 panel comic for Devil and Gandhi that involves trick-or-treaters on Halloween that I kind of forgot about. So I don't have any Christmas-themed comics. I don't have any... Actually, no, I do. I have a page that kind of is a riff on A Christmas Carol, actually, now that I think about it. Maybe I should do like a holidays-themed collection of my comics, now that I'm thinking about it.
There you go.
This could open up whole new
Yes.
avenues for me.
Heck yeah, ideas. Well, several of our fellow friends couldn't make it on the podcast today because they are prepping for the holidays. Several of them, for instance, are hitting the related horror and gothic related cons going on right now and art shows. And as such, they couldn't make it. And several others are actually just getting geared up, getting products made, getting comics made for the more Christmas-related items, since that is only honestly a few months away. I was wondering, you said you've probably got that one off. Do you do anything else, or is this just going to be your new idea now?
I do not. It's oddly enough, I feel like I'm going to be busting my butt for the next couple weeks to get out my new issue. So I think like my holiday time will be a time to like start a new project, I'm thinking. So the odds of me doing a Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, anything related comic is not going to happen. I'm sharing my screen of my Halloween episode in which the devil is giving a trick to one of the trick-or-treaters. But no, I don't have anything planned, and I probably should. I should probably take better advantage of having holiday-connected comic strips that I can kind of recycle every now and then.
I don't think it's a bad thing to do. You know, I mean, everybody takes time off frequently for different holidays. And, you know, as a creator, generally, a lot of people try to plan ahead, at least to the best of their ability. Of course, life happens. I am a testament to this. And you try to at least plan to the best of your ability to at least get some things made, maybe holiday related. Since my comic strip specifically is already holiday based, I generally don't go for any of the other holidays, at least not yet. I did mine for about a year, and then I had to take a year off. So I'll be restarting that bandwagon again, and I will probably start incorporating some of the other holidays in now. But I've got some story themes I need to work through first before we can start incorporating those in.
Mm-hmm.
But that just means more planning.
That's right.
Yes. Must plan. I've already bought my giant calendars for next year. I don't know about you, but I have like giant, the kind you usually see on somebody's desktop. The big, real generic ones.
Uh-huh.
I've got one pinned to my office wall over here that I've got all sorts of color coding, happy fun times I did on the whole year. So hopefully I can stick to that plan this year. 2017. Come on and be productive. Because 2016 has been a shit show. Yay! Thank you, elections.
Yeah. No, this will be the year to forget. We all have years to remember. This is the year to forget. And may we all have a joyous and happy 2017.
Yes, very much so. And hopefully we can forget about the orange dumpster fire.
Well, that orange dumpster fire shows up in my issue number 3 of Devil and Gandhi. Like the first couple pages.
Ooh.
That's right.
What will happen, viewers? Well, you'll have to find out.
Well, the first couple pages are available free at devilandgandhi.com. But if you want the full issue, you have to wait for it to come out. I am doing a pre-order. You can pre-order the third issue. You'll get a preview comic and some fun buttons and stickers. And you'll get to see what will happen when the devil himself runs for president of the United States. Stay tuned.
Yay! So he gets to go up against Cheeto Voldemort. I've been loving some of the internet terminologies that have been coming out to associate with that dumpster fire because I don't even want to say his name. and I'm just embracing them wholeheartedly with my lovely little liberal feminazi heart. Because apparently those are some of the labels I'm supposed to wear proudly. So okay, I'll put them on my little crown.
Mm-hmm.
I'll live with that. I think I can live with that. He can he can be the Cheeto Voldemort. I will be the feminazi.
Well, you're fighting for the side of good. You are the light side of the force. I can tell you that.
I sure as hell hope so. Because, dude, dumpster fire, man. And I really still don't understand why some people are voting for him, but okay, that's yours. Just make certain after everything is said and done to own up to it.
That's right. Although I think we're going to see a lot of bumper stickers saying, "Don't blame me. I voted for the other person." So.
Yeah, exactly. XYZ. I voted for Bernie first, so motherfuckers. Yes. This year is definitely going to be one to forget the majority of, but there are still some good things within it, of course. But nonetheless, I hope our holidays are filled with joy and light and forgetting the dumpster fire.
That's right.
And their launch of their new television network, apparently, that just doesn't sound right, but okay.
But isn't that just a rumor in the rumor mill at this point, though?
I don't know, because at least the way I understood it, all the websites related to said name have been bought.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's unfortunate.
So,
well,
this is some of that celebrity social media bullshit that, and I call it bullshit because it is a giant pile of burning crap. And this is what reality TV makes.
Well, let's be honest. People should be watching the Trade podcast anyway. So
it is true.
The Trade should be able to steal away some of the market share of OrangeDumpsterFireTV.com. So
yes, definitely.
I can only hope.
You never know. All right. I think that's where we need to go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. So my holiday plans are relaunching. Your holiday plans are getting issue 3 out and maybe giving some other loveliness out to the wonderful audience we have here on the internets of The Devil and Mr. Gandhi.
That's right.
I still want to hug them both and chubby devil's cheeks because they're so cute, chubby cheeks.
As soon as I come out with the plushie dolls, I'll send them over to you.
Yay! I can have chubby yes. And I will feed Gandhi because he needs fat.
He could put on a couple pounds. Let's just say that. He could put on a couple pounds. What, are you not eating?
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on and bitching and bullshitting with me. I appreciate it. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next month. again, this is The Trade, episode 46. My name's Melanie. I do comics at ornamentalcomic.com. And this was Patrick McEwen of devilandgandhi.com.
Devil and Gandhi!
Bye, guys!
Bye-bye.